2 with the bases loaded and 1 out. Fouls it down deep to right field. Way up there and way out. Second deck walk-off home run. Grand slam race homer.
Stays right where Allen wants to go. Wants the baseline. Fade away. Yes! He's way too good. He steps the wrong move and drilled it. And the Sixers have scored 9 in a row. 7 straight points by Iverson. Looked like he was down the ball. The Sixers by 4.
And welcome once again to the Sports Skillet Radio Show. We want to thank you for taking time out of your day to spend it with us. Thank you very much. And reminder, you can always get all your latest sports news shows update over at sportsskilletradio.com. Lots of sports news. We have our Twitter feed going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so you want to tune in for that. All great articles, stuff from Mike Nebbia, as well as all our other contributors. I am Jay. I am joined this week by Mike Nebbia, the coach Shane McGowan. And Shane, can you let everybody know how they can find you on your social media account?
Yep, you can reach me at mentaledgeperformance.ca and as well as mental_edge_performance. How are we doing today, boys?
We are fired up. Why? Because we got a hot and close National League Eastern Division race, but even more than that, we are fired up because we got the NFL back. We actually got to watch some games. Practice is somewhat over. Now we're getting into the preseason games. I know a lot of people tend to overlook the preseason games, but we got a lot of battles going on. We want to see how these young quarterbacks are looking, and some of them look to be pretty good. Let's start off. We'll get to the Eagles, of course, and the Jets as well as the Giants. But let's start off with the team that people have been talking about in the offseason, the Green Bay Packers. We got to see quarterback Jordan Love in his first game, and he actually looked pretty good, Shane.
No, I mean, I think Jordan came out and did what he had to do. He had – look at – from all counts, he's had a very good camp, and again too is I think we also got to look at and say next year this is probably going to be his team. You know what I mean? With Rodgers possibly on the move somewhere else, right? So they gave him a lot, and they're going to keep giving him a lot of reps during the preseason, which I think is going to be huge for him and his development because it's all been said the same thing. This is the only time you're really going to see this guy play is right now during the season, unless unfortunately Aaron gets hurt somehow, you're not going to see Jordan Love in the games at all. Even if you're blowing a team out by 30, you're not really going to see Aaron get pulled, right? So right now they got to evaluate and do their very best because, like I said, come next year, this is the team that he's supposed to help lead. So his production right now is going to be huge and everything like that. And like I said, there was really out of all the games, there was a lot of young quarterbacks that started out there that are vying for either number one or for that backup role. And I like I said, I think it was a great weekend thus far with all these teams and these young guys, and they definitely put on a good show for a lot of us.
Yeah, and I think Jordan Love proved that he could probably be a starting quarterback in the NFL. I don't know how good he's going to be. Again, a lot of these games they aren't game planning for. The defenses are vanilla, the offenses are vanilla. They don't want to give away too much of their what they're going to look like in the preseason. They want to save that for the start of the season. But you do get to see, but they do play each other. You do get to see the wide receivers go up against cornerbacks and safeties, and you do get to get a little bit of an evaluation as to how good some of these quarterbacks may be down the line. And I thought Jordan Love played okay for the Green Bay Packers. I really did.
You know what he did, and I'll tell you another one that really stood out for me was Justin Fields for the Bears. I thought Justin Fields had probably close to the best out of all of these guys with his production out there. And I think that's exactly the lift that the Bears wanted to see too, because I mean they're going, okay, this is going to be our franchise guy as well. You know what I mean? So this is very, very good for the Bears in that way. And I also give Zach Wilson a lot of credit too. I think Zach also for the Jets, I think he's going to give himself and give that team a little bit more of an uplift. And I think he also got a good vote of confidence from his coaches as well too.
Yeah, and you bring up Justin Fields. He's another quarterback I wanted to talk about a little bit because he comes out. He's vying for the number one quarterback for position for the Chicago Bears. They brought in Andy Dalton, and I don't think if you're a Bears fan, you want to see any part of Andy Dalton starting out the season. But I don't know. Do you think Justin Fields has a shot to unseat Andy Dalton as a starting quarterback at the beginning of the season, or do you think they'll keep him on the bench?
You know what? These next couple of games are going to dictate a little bit more. If he can have that solid type of production, I wouldn't be surprised if they still said week 1 we'll start Dalton at least for the first bit to see what happens there. By game 4 of preseason, you're going to get a better idea. You know what I mean? Game 4 comes of preseason, and if Dalton is starting,
only 3 games this year. It's only a 3-game preseason.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So you got one more, and then you got another one, and then that's it, right? But like I said, you're gonna get a better idea of what they're gonna do in that direction. But like I said, I have a feeling that they want to get Fields a little bit more repetition out there and saying, hey, listen, you know, he's got a great opportunity to be the number one guy right now. And that's all you're asking for. And I mean, really, it's going to now come down to, I think Chicago's looking at it better of saying, who gives us the best opportunity to win? You know what I mean? Who gives us the best opportunity to win each week? And is that going to be Fields or is that going to be Dalton?
That's true. What do you think, Mike?
I think this is the best time to check matters in the quarterback department. Fields did well for the Bears in their first preseason game. Jordan Love looked good for the Packers in their first preseason game. And to build off of what Shane said, next year this is going to be Jordan Love's team, considering the Aaron Rodgers situation.
Yeah.
I think Aaron Rodgers goes west next year. So Jordan Love has to look good in these preseason games if he's going to prove that he's the guy for the Green Bay Packers going forward.
Yep. The other game I think people were looking at too is the Cleveland Browns and the Jacksonville Jaguars, because you had the number 1 overall pick in the draft, Trevor Lawrence, getting his first game action. Of course, the Browns won the game 23-13. I don't think we put a lot of stock in the overall wins and losses, but we look for the actual gameplay for some of these guys. And what did you think of Trevor Lawrence, Shane?
You know what I mean? In the first few series like that. So I think they're going to have to evaluate him, especially on his next game. And he's going to put a lot more effort into this, because I think out of all of them, he was probably the worst as these new QBs that came in. You know what I mean? When it came to production.
Yeah, I agree with you. He held the ball. He suffered a pair of sacks in the game that I believe in the presser after the game he said was his fault.
Yep.
You know, and that's one of the things you're alluding to is the speed of the game, being able to locate his receivers, get the ball out on time. And like you said, Shane, I think that's why you want to play him a lot in the preseason, just to get his timing down with the receivers so that he has an idea of the speed. Because right now what he's seeing is a very vanilla defense. They're not game planning for him. They're just throwing out some different defenses, base defenses, not really, as I say, game planning a lot. So if he's struggling now when they're not game planning for him, he's going to be even worse come the start of the season and a couple of games in when they actually start game planning for him.
Yeah, and you're absolutely correct. And I mean, to me, I think I'm going to say he was probably the baddest out of the group of young guys that came out. And then I'll follow along that with Trey Lance too. I mean, even though he threw for 128 yards, he only went 5 for 14. You know what I mean? Like you can't go 5 for 14. Like, I mean, in this league and stuff, especially against, not exactly stacked, a stacked defense coming at you. Right. So he used a lot of his legs to get out of situations. But I mean, what they were looking at for Trey Lance was a little bit more higher threshold of production. They didn't quite get that out of him. So, I mean, my opinion is I think those two were kind of the bottom of this barrel out of all the guys that we looked at lately.
Yeah. What do you think, Mike? You agree?
Yeah. Trey Lance is going to be up against stacked rosters in his first NFL season. And this was not a good barometer for what to expect out of him. I think once you get into game 2 and 3 of the preseason, we're going to see a lot more of Trey Lance going forward.
Yep. We also had the Ravens defeating the New Orleans Saints 17-14. Got to see a little bit of their quarterback play, Shane. They have a quarterback battle going on out there in New Orleans, trying to figure out who's going to succeed Drew Brees. Did you get anything out of that? Get any idea of who might be ahead? Who you think might be ahead, might be behind in that one?
Yeah. It was Winston didn't play that bad. You know what I mean? And everything there too. I think they're looking at him to say, are you going to be the leader out here? I mean, you've been in the league long enough. You've been a starter. You've thrown for tons of yards and everything like that. So it's not that you can't throw the ball in that way. Yes, you have had accuracy problems and interceptions and so on, but that they feel that they've got the right guys in place for him to do well and move forward. But can he actually take the game and take it on his shoulders and lead that team? And I think that's what Sean Payton's looking at too. And then, like I said, this fiery competition between him and Taysom Hill, I mean, that's what you want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To establish and they might be pulling a bit of a 1-2 quarterback for a first little bit too. You know what I mean? Out there at times, right? Taysom can take off and do certain things as well and kind of keep your defenses a little bit uneasy as Jamie Winston can as well too. So I still think Winston's probably the lead guy at this particular time. I think that's the one that they want to move forward with, but I think it's going to also depend on how he can produce his next few games too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think Winston will wind up being the starting quarterback. I'd like to leave Taysom Hill kind of in that jack of all trades kind of mode that they've always had him in. I know that they said it would be a fair quarterback battle or words to that effect, but I like Taysom Hill in that jack of all trades, move him around, move him all around the offense, so that you take the defense by surprise a little bit, I like to leave Taysom Hill in that role that he's always occupied. I don't know that Taysom Hill can actually be a playoff caliber, a Super Bowl caliber starting quarterback.
He's not ready for that.
No, I don't think he ever will be. I think he's more suited to that jack of all trades, move him around the offense, receiver, running back, quarterback, kind of, catch the defense flat-footed, that type of thing, by moving them all around. And I would go with Jameis Winston for at least this season. See what you got in him. Let Sean Payton play with him a little bit. Leave him as the starting quarterback, and then if he doesn't prove to be the starting quarterback this year, fine, you move on. You get another quarterback for next year. But see what you got in Jameis Winston in Sean Payton's offense. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, give Taysom Hill another year or two. Have Jameis Winston integrate himself into Sean Payton's offense. We didn't see him go to his full potential in Tampa Bay. He was interception prone.
Yeah.
We didn't see what he could do with his feet. He was flushed out of the pocket way too many times. And he had bad coaches. He's got a good coach now in Sean Payton. I think we'll see what he can really do in the Sean Payton offensive scheme.
Well, I don't know. I disagree with you there. I don't think he had a bad coach because Bruce Arians won the Super Bowl last year. So you got to give Arians some credit,
He did have bad offensive lines.
True. I will give you that. He didn't have near the talent that Brady has out there in Tampa Bay. And to your point too, as well, Bruce Arians' offense down there was more push the ball down the field when Jameis Winston was there. Whereas Sean Payton is a more he will go deep on occasion, but Sean Payton is more of the mid-range kind of passes than Bruce Arians is. So maybe that suits Jameis Winston a little bit better in the Saints offense. And, maybe Sean Payton will work with Jameis Winston a little bit better than Bruce Arians did, So that may be so. He may be in a better situation, and he didn't play much last year. He got to sit on the bench, learn the offense, see how the New Orleans Saints operated before now being thrust into the starting quarterback role. So I think that probably helped him out a little bit too last year.
Since we're talking about quarterback confrontations, or who's going to take over and everything like that, I think we ought to look at also Houston, who just played Green Bay, is in a quarterback battle themselves with Tyrod and Mills and Driscoll, and who's going to establish, because it's not going to be Watson, it's not going to be Deshaun there. Okay, so somebody's going to take over that team.
Yeah. And did you hear? Oh, and did you hear the latest on Deshaun Watson, Shane?
In which way? There's a lot of latest.
Oh yeah. Apparently there is a I guess a grand jury that may be summoned about sex trafficking involving Deshaun Watson. Now, Amy Dashaw, I'm going to try and get on the show maybe for next week to help explain all the legal ramifications of this. She tweeted out this within the past day or two that there may be sex trafficking charges. Now, this has not been brought against Deshaun as of yet, but there may be upcoming sex trafficking charges brought against Deshaun Watson to add to all the charges that have been brought against him so far. Again, so that makes trading for, a lot of Eagles news have been, well, will the Eagles trade for Deshaun Watson? I can't believe that Howie Roseman or Jeff Lurie, the Eagles owner, would go forward with a trade for Deshaun Watson if these sex trafficking charges are going to be brought against him, because then almost certainly the NFL would have to take action against him at that point.
Well, I mean, the NFL could take action no matter what anyways. right? So I mean,
True.
here's the thing: is you could trade away for him, and this is what's holding everything up and moving forward. Here is whatever team gets or he does eventually go to or play for and stuff. Expect him to be sitting, because I don't think the NFL is going to say you're going to get out there and be able to play ASAP anytime. And the other thing too is, I mean, with all these legal things and everything like that, you're still looking at possibly a year plus. So I mean, there's a lot of things that are in a loophole here right now with all of this too, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's
it's not good at all in any way for Deshaun. It's not good at all for the Texans. It's not good at all for the league. Nothing like this right now. I mean, this is just a very limbo-ish type of time, and I just don't see any team looking to say, well, you know, let's jump and grab this guy at this particular moment, because like I said, there's so many unknowns and so many allegations and everything like that. Never mind understanding, will he even be able to play? You know, and that's your biggest thing, is why am I getting a person that's not even going to be able to play because of all these things? So yeah, I don't see it happening for quite some time, if anything, right now.
What do you think, Mike?
I think this is going to dissuade any team in the NFL from trading for Deshaun Watson. As if things couldn't get any worse for someone who has become one of the elite quarterbacks in this league. This goes down. First, you got the domestic violence allegations. Now you've got sex trafficking. What's next?
Mind you, hey, the owner of the Patriots, Robert Kraft, he got away with everything, right?
That's Robert Kraft.
Okay, but things do disappear at certain times. I mean, I hate to say it, things do find a way to filter and disappear. So we will see as all this allegations and everything like that come about, right? Because like I said, speculations, allegations, everything, until you're actually proven guilty, that's all it is right now.
Oh yeah.
How does Deshaun Watson go from elite quarterback to, I hate to get political, but to the Governor Cuomo of the NFL?
I'm telling you, it's crazy, Mike. Why you would get involved in that? Why it would, you know? It's just crazy, because Deshaun Watson, arguably, when he has talent around him, is probably one of the 5 best quarterbacks currently in the NFL. And now, because of this legal mess that he finds himself in, he's not playing. Houston didn't even bring him on the road during this preseason game. They left him back in Texas. I mean, he's not getting a whole lot of reps in practice, if at all. He's off on a side field practicing, you know, by himself or whatever. You know, he barked at a press representative. You know, it's like, you know, why do you want to film me or whatever? It's the same thing every day. You know, and like I said, you know, with Amy Dash, she tweeted out a day ago that human trafficking unit is reportedly heading up subpoenas on Deshaun Watson case, per Mark Berman, Fox 26. I mean, it's like crazy what's going on, you know, with Deshaun Watson. The Texans don't want to play him, but the NFL isn't taking any action against them. They're saying, okay, we're doing our own investigation. However long that's going to take, who knows?
Well, the NFL won't step in until after the other legal stuff is taken care of first, because you try to turn over this stone or that stone, you're also interfering with investigations too, right? Of the Houston police and everything like this, right? So you got to kind of sit back and mind your business for a little bit until they've got enough proof to say, okay, well, first off, we got to put you on the exempt list, you know, at this particular time and stuff. Right now, like I said, Deshaun's got to keep doing what he's doing and let his legal team and everything like this take over. He's at camp. I mean, and it's kind of funny, is he's not necessarily hiding anything either. You know what I mean? He's not. He's asked for his days. He's asked for his time to address these complaints and accusations at him and everything like that. So, I mean, in many ways, he wants this done with. And again, too, is until we find out that this is actually true of these allegations of sexual, you know, and everything like this, trafficking, then, you know, that takes it to a whole new different level of a ball game that's just not good in any way at all. That's for damn sure. So we will see within the next, like you said, probably within the next week or so where this is all heading to. But like I said, right now the Texans got to worry about who's going to be their number one guy to lead this team.
Exactly. Absolutely. And Mike, we had the Snoopy Bowl taking place, or at least I guess that's what they used to call it when the Jets played the New York Giants. 12-7, the Jets ended up winning. We got to see the new Jets quarterback in that game, of course. We brought him up a little bit earlier. Zach Wilson looked pretty good during that game. Maybe the Jets may have made a good selection in Zach Wilson. What did you think of the game, Mike?
Zach Wilson looked pretty good from the quarter I watched him in. Improvement over Sam Darnold, that's for sure. Of course, Darnold was the quarterback serial killer as a coach for the first few years of his career. Now that the Jets are free of the quarterback serial killer, I think Zach Wilson will do fine in New York. Daniel Jones looked good for that first quarter. He seems to have corrected the turnover issue that's been plaguing him the first two seasons.
Maybe.
And if he can stay on that track and completely correct the turnover issue, the Giants are going to be a good team.
What do you think of the new Jets quarterback, Shane?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, look at he did well. You know what I mean? He played. I think the biggest thing is his head coach gave him a praise and saying he's got a lot of potential, and we think we can do a lot more with him. So they're happy about that. If you can get your head coaches and everybody saying that about you, then that's the direction you want to move moving forward. You know what I mean? There wasn't a lot of negative criticism at him, considering that, like I said, for the first little bit, he actually wasn't even doing camp. You know what I mean? Because of contract things. You know what I mean? So give him some time like anyone else. I don't expect miracles, but I do expect that the Jets will be a lot better of a team in that way. I'll say this, though, before we get to my Raiders, who look good out there, that's for sure. But I'll say this about the Giants. Giants don't have a backup quarterback. Giants are in a lot of trouble if their main man goes down, that's for sure, because those two guys that they got backing up, it's not pretty. It's not pretty at all. You know what I mean? And like I said, when you start the season and for whatever they decide to do and moving forward, if you can't keep your starting quarterback in that game, you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
That's true. And if their starting quarterback doesn't solve his fumbling issues, the Giants could be in a lot of trouble too, because then if he proves not to be the answer this year, who do you go to? Like you're saying, Shane, if you don't have that solid backup quarterback that can win you a couple of games and maybe take over if your starting quarterback doesn't do well, like you said, the Giants don't seem to have that solid backup quarterback in camp.
No, that's one thing that I was kind of shocked about, that they never brought in a potential as they should have had a quarterback, another second string quarterback to look to vie for a starting job as well, to know that you've got some security in there. Every team needs to have that. Every team needs to have a 1-2 punch, sitting there ready to go, because like I said, and Giants do not have that at all.
This is true. Moving on a little bit, we had the Kansas City Chiefs defeat the 49ers 19-16. Again, scores don't really matter, but we did get to see Trey Lance in his first preseason action. I thought he was a little bit up and down. What did you think, Shane?
Yeah, no, he was. I mean, you got the nerves in you and everything like that. And again, I mean, it's you're coming from a college that you just did a 1 year with that's kind of at a high pace, but you got a speed difference out there. The Chiefs brought some heat to him real fast and made him have to get out there and run and scramble and stuff. But like I said, I mean, that is for that team and for Lance moving forward. Are you going to be able to understand Shanahan's complex offense? Are you going to be able to produce and make things happen? and sit in that pocket a little bit, feeling that heat and realizing that I got to sit in that pocket a little bit and get rid of the ball on the timing part, or am I going to get too nervous and take off? And I think that's where it's going to come down to the experience. And I mean, look, I give Garoppolo credit for that. He does sit in that pocket. He does wait and everything. He just needs to understand the complexity of that offense that Shanahan runs. And Trey Lance has to follow suit that way. Yes, he's probably one of the best mobile quarterbacks out there. But you do not want him becoming your lead rusher. You know what I mean? Ask Russell Wilson on that in Seattle. You don't want that being your lead rusher.
Yep, exactly. And that's why I think Trey Lance is probably going to start the season on the bench, because you do have Jimmy Garoppolo there. Garoppolo has the experience, has the excellent win-loss record. The only thing against Garoppolo is remaining healthy. And the one thing with Trey Lance, unlike some of the other quarterbacks we've been talking about up to now, is that Trey Lance does not have the in-game experience that the other quarterbacks have. So he has to – I think he has to play a lot in the preseason to get that in-game experience, even if these defenses, like we've been saying, are vanilla, aren't game playing against him. At least he gets to see the speed of the game and get that in-game experience, which I think he absolutely needs in order to get better.
Yeah, there's no question about that. He has to, if he's going to move forward and be, somebody that team can trust as a backup, you know what I mean? And look and saying, you know what, eventually you can vie for the number one job as well. And most importantly is have the confidence of that coaching staff to say, listen, Garoppolo ain't playing well. We got to make a change. We got to get you in there. You can spark it and let's go. And that's the thing. And so you're right. He's got to get a little bit more. We'll see in the next game performs and everything like that. I think when he looks at himself on film, he'll see where he missed the opportunities of certain stuff and realize, okay, I got to be a little bit more patient in that pocket and understand it. So yeah, it's gonna be a battle out there, no question. But I do agree that Garoppolo will probably be the man that starts without a question of a doubt.
Yep, and we got to get to your Raiders, Shane. They defeated the Seahawks 20-7, and your Raiders, Shane, pretty good win for them.
Oh, you know what? It was nice for them to actually get into allegiance as well to that stadium, right? You gave the fans something, which was nice to see. It had been a long time and everything, and hey, Peterman, that guy threw for like over 250 yards. You know what I mean? And like I said, he didn't do bad at all considering what they had out there and everything. I was impressed with how that team was playing in many ways, and that's because, like I said, Peterman had to take over because Mariota is injured right now, banged up a little bit, so that's why he's not viable for this. Hopefully, he's back for the next one because I do like him. I think he's got I know he wants to be a starter somewhere, you know what I mean? And that's a big thing. But I do think he is without a doubt a very good number two quarterback that you want. He's it fits well in that Raiders system like this. So, but we will see. Hopefully he gets back on. But for Peterman to play the way he did, I think was very good in that way as well too.
I think so too. Get him into the game, get him some work during the preseason. Obviously, he's not going to be the starter from the regular season, but I think your Raiders looked pretty good there, Shane. I really do.
Yep.
I don't know if they can vie for the division title. With the Chiefs still being around there, but I think they could. They could maybe be a wild card team. What do you think?
I think they got the opportunity for the wild card. There's no question about that. I do think though that they will be more competitive. Put it this way, you know what I mean? And I think that's all you ask from anybody's team is be more competitive out there, and things can happen, right? There's no question about it. You get some luck, you get some wild fluky last minute games and everything like that. But just be competitive. But I do think they have a great opportunity to be in a wild card position if they get themselves playing, they know how to.
Yep. And then finally, we had the Chargers go up against the LA Rams in the Battle of Los Angeles in the preseason. I thought the Chargers looked okay, out there. Rams, of course, have their new quarterback as well, in Matthew Stafford. What do you think about this game, Shane?
No, I mean, look,
Yeah, yeah,
it was good to see them
yeah,
play out there and it saw sci-fi and everything like this. I
yeah.
thought that was an excellent opportunity for them to get the fans in and from both ends of that, of both LA teams. I think it was great. I do think though that the Rams are definitely going to be a much better team, even though they lost their starting running back. I think Henderson's going to take the workload for them there, but I do think Stafford is, from all accounts, going to become a quarterback to watch and see again. I think he's got the backing from his head coach, that's for sure.
Right.
That definitely believes that he's got this team and is going to lead them in many, many ways. So we will see what there. I do like the Chargers when it comes to Justin Herbert. I think he's going to be a man to watch.
Yeah.
I just kind of question a little bit on that defensive side and the backfield a little bit there. So we will see as the Chargers move forward too in that case. But I do think Justin Herbert is a good quarterback, and he's got some talent around him as well too. So we will see as they progress.
Absolutely, we will. And want to touch a little bit on my Philadelphia Eagles. They played Thursday night. We got to see a very small sample size of Jalen Hurts. He was in there for a couple of series, and then he got pulled after that. We got to see a lot of course, Joe Flacco and Nick Mullins, obviously, in the second half. But one player that stood out for me during this Eagle game was Quez Watkins, the second-year wide receiver. Looks to me that he could be a real get for the Philadelphia Eagles with his speed, taking it to the house. Might have had another touchdown, too, if Jalen Hurts had been able to hit him in stride. Just missed hooking up with him. But Quez Watkins looked like he could be a really good number 2 on the opposite side of the field. We all know who the Eagles' number 1 wide receiver is going to be, but Quez looks like he could be a number 2 and possibly put some other guys into the middle of the field as a slot receiver. What did you think of the Eagles' opener, Shane?
You know what? You are absolutely 100% correct with that receiver. Quez Watkins, he is a speedster, and if he can get the timing right with Jalen or whoever's out there throwing it to him, this guy's going to be really dynamic. And you're very fortunate because, like I said, having him out there with the other guys, Smith and everything like this, it's going to make a big difference. It really is. It's a good threat. It really is. It's just a matter, can Jalen or whoever get that protection needed to get that ball downfield, because he's a big playmaker. He's going to be a big playmaker in this way, and that's all you want from him. But he's got talent. He's got loads of talent. And from what I was understanding too, the betting odds are very high when they like to pick him in many things on the DraftKings and FanDuel sides of stuff like this, because they do see a lot of potential of this young man as he moves forward. So he is definitely going to be a very, very eyeful to watch. And I think that's a good thing for the Eagles.
Oh yeah, he could, and I think he, like you said, I think he's going to be a good number 2 receiver. As I said, going forward with the Eagles offense, and I think that will open up the middle of the field for Zach Ertz, who, by the way, is still on the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah. I'm a little bit surprised at that. Are you, Shane?
Yes.
Zach Ertz is still there.
I didn't expect it to be. I didn't expect them to actually be at the beginning of camp. I thought for sure something was going to transpire. But you know what? Honestly, when you look around the league right now, there is a ton of tight ends at every position on every team right now. You know what I mean? And it's tough to say if they didn't get rid of him during a package deal with Carson Wentz back then. I just don't know what they can do now. Just because, like I said, when you look down at the list of all these teams, they are loaded at that tight end position. I mean, some this week were carrying 7 tight ends. You know what I mean? So it's one of these things where I think Zach may be now with the Eagles during this time, just because there's not much out there. There's not much to get for him. And do you need to if he can produce a little bit for you, like you said, in the middle and everything like this? I don't question that he can't produce to a certain degree. I just think that he's unhappy where he is and with the contracts and everything like that.
Yeah, the other guy that kind of stood out for me too, that's standing out a little bit in camp too, is tight end Tyree Jackson, a converted quarterback. Guy is 6'7", 249. He projects to be a big target for Jalen Hurts. Has been catching a lot of balls at the tight end position, and I think he's going to make things real interesting come cutdown day, because it looks like you're going to have Zach Ertz, barring a significant injury, I'll say, from another team. If another team suffers a catastrophic injury at the tight end position and their starting tight end goes down, I think then possibly Zach Ertz would be moved. But barring that, I think Zach Ertz will wind up being a part of this Eagle team this year. So you're going to have Zach Ertz. You're going to have Dallas Goedert as well. But Tyree Jackson is making this tight end competition a little interesting, because you also have Richard Rodgers, a guy that the Eagles like a lot as a third tight end, a guy that came in there and just doesn't get a lot of yards after the catch, yak yards, but is a guy who can, on third down, make a catch for you, keep drives going. As a guy that defenses a lot of times will overlook because they don't think he's going to get the ball thrown to him, but the Eagles do throw it to him. But I do think Tyree Jackson is making this tight end, because how many tight ends do you normally keep? Maybe 3. So Tyree Jackson at 6'7" could be that big target that the Eagles like to keep. And he's a young guy too as well. So, only 23 years old. So I think he's a guy that could grow, that if he continues to catch balls, could grow in this offense and can make the situation with Richard Rodgers real interesting. What do you think, Shane?
Well, out of all of them, he's the one that had the best outing. I mean, they all got thrown two targets, and he had the most yardage at 32 yards. So I mean, really, he's the guy that they keyed on a little bit more. He made things happen after the catch as well. So you're right. I do think he's that one that they're looking at saying, we do not want to lose him. He is going to be a young talent. He's a big target, no question about it. Yeah. It's now coming down to, again, too, is the blocking schemes. You know what I mean? We all know tight ends got to block, you got to protect, because especially when you get out there on the run and everything there. So if he can produce the way they see it, you know what? You never know. You might see Ertz and them take a back seat to a young guy like this in that way, right? So there's going to be some decisions made. There's going to be some decisions made when it comes to cut downs and who we're keeping on the rosters and looking at saying, well, you know what, we don't want to bench you, but guess what? We might have to. So I think a lot of teams are going to see certain things like this happening that, you kind of would not expect if it was last year or the year before, but there's a lot of young talent that's come up that have taken over position. So I think it's a good battle at that tight end spot for you guys.
Yep. And speaking of battles, I think the battle at left tackle is over. If it wasn't over before, I think it's over now. Andre Dillard ended up suffering an injury in camp this past week. And of course, he was battling, he was the Eagles' first-round draft pick. He's battling Jordan Mailata. And Jordan Mailata has just looked spectacular in camp. Has been doing everything the head coach and the offensive line coach, Jeff Stalin, has been asking of him. Has looked great in camp. Of course, Mailata is the 6'8", 365-pound left tackle. Just a wall out there, and has spent the past couple of seasons being built up, learning under Jason Peters, who, by the way, just signed a contract with the Chicago Bears at age 39, I believe he is. So good luck to Jason Peters out there in Chicago. But I believe the battle at left tackle is over between him and Dillard. Dillard hasn't looked good. I will say Dillard hasn't looked good during training camp. Dillard, 6'5", 315 pounds, was injured last year, but even before he was injured, wasn't looking real great. And I think Jordan Mailata should be, if everything is equal, I think Jordan Mailata will be the Eagles' left tackle, protecting Jalen Hurts this coming season. I don't see much of a battle left between him and Andre Dillard. I think Harry Roseman, if he has control of the final 53, will want Dillard on there because, of course, he doesn't want to look bad drafting Dillard in the first round, but Jordan Mailata is just heads and tails above Dillard at this point. And I think Harry Roseman will look to possibly trade Dillard. I think he's probably had the phone calls going already trying to move him, and will do whatever he can to try and move Dillard before cutdown day or during cutdown day and try and get something for him. What do you think, Shane?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. Now, again, too, is we all know that linemen go down pretty fast, right? So you got to kind of look at some things, too, and say, do I need to make sure I'm holding on to somebody as well, too, just in case, you know what I mean, that can fill in those spots along the line or make the adjustments and not skip a beat? Or can I look for that way of potentially getting him out and bringing something back in return, too? So you got to – it's kind of a slippery slope when it comes to some of that, because we all understand that this is just preseason. We haven't hit the actual season yet, and we've seen a lot of things happen, not only in training camp, but I mean as well as when the first week of the actual games come and count on how much you're giving it, and all of a sudden something slips and falls or whatever else. I mean, you got to be prepared. So I think they're going to be a little cautious about how fast they get rid of any old linemen at this particular time, and it's good that somebody's stepping in to fill in these spots and take over and want to lead that. But again, too, is like I said, injuries happen, and you got to be very careful about how fast you get rid of, because all of a sudden you lose somebody in week 6, right? That just can sink you a lot faster, because and you guys saw that tremendously of how many times when your line went down, how much Carson Wentz was under the gun and pressured, and Jalen, and it was not a pretty sight. You know what I mean? So I think if anything, they've learned from experience to say, we got some linemen here. Let's just kind of hold on to them, bite the bullet a little bit on how much we're paying certain things, because we know what can happen to us.
Yep, exactly. And turn the page a little bit, Mike. Mets, Phillies, Braves, all in heated contest for first place in the National League East. One of the worst divisions, if not the worst division in Major League Baseball.
It's the NFC East baseball.
Yep. So the Mets dropped the game yesterday to the LA Dodgers. It was a close one, though, Mike. Almost a no-hitter for the Mets.
Yeah, the Mets have proven that they can hang with the tougher teams in Major League Baseball. Now they just got proof that they can beat the tougher teams in Major League Baseball. They're only a game and a half back of the Phillies and Braves. If they can win tonight against the Dodgers and the Phillies and Braves lose their games, they'll only be a half game back of both teams heading into a very difficult series against the San Francisco Giants starting up on Monday night.
Now, what do you think of that almost no-hitter yesterday? You got a good pitching performance, Mike, but again, the Mets offense just does not come through for them, Mike. Got to be immensely frustrating and disappointing.
It is. Taijuan Walker had a great bounce-back game after all the struggles he's had since the All-Star break. He needed this game, and he got a bounce-back performance. Now we just need our key pieces back. We need Baez back. We need Lindor back. We definitely need DeGrom back soon. We're getting Lindor back soon. We're getting Baez back hopefully soon. We just need DeGrom back in the rotation.
Mets are playing Dodgers tonight, correct?
Yes, and you got to deal with Scherzer.
So the Mets aren't winning tonight.
Yes, I would say so.
They got to deal with over the hill Max Scherzer.
Yeah, well, you got
Well,
Scherzer starting, and I mean, yeah, I don't see that happening. This is the hottest pitcher in the league right now.
They've
Just
gotten to
about.
Scherzer before. They've gotten to him before when he was with the Nationals.
Yeah, that's the
Well,
Nationals. This is the Dodgers
yeah.
now.
Exactly.
Dodgers got some big
they-
bats.
They
Big
know
bats.
how to deal with Scherzer.
And your pitcher is who? Who's your pitcher tonight?
Who's pitching for the Mets, Mike?
Let me check MLB.com.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not gonna like who it
I
is.
don't, probably not. But I would say, I mean, the Phillies, who have I would say a much better.
Carrasco is pitching.
Coming off the injured list, Carlos Carrasco. So I don't know what you're going to be. I don't know what you're going to be able to get out
And
of.
almost none of the Dodger batters have faced Carrasco before.
Yeah, well, Carrasco hasn't done anything before either.
But I would say Carrasco. You know, you're coming off the injured list. You don't know what you're going to get out of him. But the Phillies
If
went up.
get 5 or 6 innings out of him, it would lessen the load on the bullpen.
True.
They gotta get length out of their pitchers. If Carrasco goes 6, that would be a great outing for him.
It would be coming off the injured list. Absolutely. If you could get 6 innings out of him, absolutely. I don't know if he's going to be on a pitch count or not, or innings limit, something like that.
I'd go 6 innings or 90 pitches.
Yeah, I would probably do about the same, because you don't want to burn him out in his first start back off the injured list.
What if his first starts off the injured list? 6 innings or 90 pitches. That's where I would set the bar.
Yeah,
and
something.
Depending on how he's feeling, I would give him the 7th.
Maybe. Depending. Yeah, maybe. You don't want to necessarily, like I said, you don't want to necessarily burn him out right off coming off the injured list, but going up against Scherzer is no easy task. I saw the Phillies go up against him a couple of times in the past, especially last week. And Scherzer is one heck of a good starting pitcher. And the Mets pop gun offense, Mike, until they show me something different that they can hit, you got to go with Scherzer in this game. You just have to. Until the Mets show that their offense is back, I mean, you got to go with Scherzer in this one.
Didn't the Phillies have Nola pitch against the Dodgers?
Yeah, it was Nola Scherzer last week, and Nola, and they were going head to head, back and forth. In fact, Nola's pitching today for the Phillies,
right?
And Nola pitched probably one of the best games he's pitched this year, and unfortunately, the rain showed up, and there was a torrential downpour, and both starters ended up getting pulled out of the game. It ended up becoming a bullpen game. Yeah. But Scherzer showed that he's still one of the best pitchers in baseball last week. So right now it looks like another loss for the Mets, and then you got to depend on the Phillies and or Atlanta losing for the Mets to gain any ground. And if the Mets lose again, now you're 2.5 back, and you still have to face the Dodgers again and the Giants. This is a rough stretch for the Mets, Mike.
Yeah, if they can go 7-6 in this stretch.
7-6.
Mike.
That's where I had them going into the stretch. 7-6.
How, Mike? Tell me how. Tell me how you have them doing that, Mike. How? Because I ask this realistically because you have to look at their offense, Mike. And the Dodgers and the Giants are 2 of the best teams in baseball. So tell me, how can you possibly have them going 7-6?
It felt reasonable going in.
I mean, I would say at best, I would say if the Mets could have a 500, maybe a game or 2 under 500 or 500, something like that, something like that, goes 6-7. I mean, because like I said, the Mets offense is showing you nothing right now because the Mets could have won last night, but they didn't have enough offense. You know the you know
They could have done Friday, but they decided on Nito bunting, and if he doesn't bunt, Mets win that game.
could
It's all
be.
mismanagement on the part of Luis Rojas that's been doing us in.
Well, and he had, and true enough. And that's another thing that goes against the Mets. Not only are they not getting significant contributions offensively, but then you have that questionable managerial decisions as well because
Beltran would have managed it better.
Because he had Stroman stand up there and just be a statue last weekend against the Phillies, striking out, and then the next batter, because I don't want him to hit into a double play, and the next batter comes up, I believe it was Nemo, and hit into a double play. So
that was Brandon Nemo that hit into a double play.
Yeah.
If I was Rojas, I would have had Stroman at least bunt to move the runners along. You would have scored one run, but it would have been a productive out.
Exactly. At least if you haven't swung.
How is it that I'd managed the Mets better than Luis Rojas?
Exactly. At least if you do that, you put the ball in play, you get and even if Stroman does hit into a double play, at least then you get a run out of it. You're not striking out. That was horrible in my mind. That
managerial decisions. Yeah. Beltran would have done better.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Why'd he have to be implicated in Astros Gate? He was an innocent party.
Well,
anybody in Houston is an innocent
party.
Beltran was innocent. He had nothing to do with it.
Hey, all I know is they are in for a world of hurt right now with who they got to face. That's the problem. They're up against the top teams, right?
Exactly.
So,
yep.
You got and look at Dodgers. Dodgers are playing hot. The San Fran Giants are playing really hot too. I mean, they got some good batters, and they seem to be placing it properly out there. They're playing like they're ready to play in the finals. You know what I mean? They're getting themselves in that set, and Philly too. Like Philly's played that way as well. So this is how these games have to be played. The Mets aren't playing like that. They're playing still inconsistent, and that's what you said. They're blowing it at the bats.
Exactly. So I want to say hi to Nagar Bomber. Thank you for joining us this week. We appreciate it. If there's anything you want us to discuss, please post on our social media boards, and we will talk about them. But yeah, it's gonna be a tough road to hoe over the next few games, Mike. It really is, I think, for the Mets. And you have the Phillies coming out of it, and reportedly they have the softest schedule to end the season, so they may be able to take advantage of that. They have the rubber match coming up at 1:00 against the Cincinnati Reds. Yep, Reds won the first game. Phillies won yesterday. So we'll see what happens today with Aaron Nola on the mound for the Philadelphia Phillies. See if he can keep up what he was doing the other night for the Philadelphia Phillies. See if he can keep in that good pitching realm. Mike, before we get out of here, what do you got for NASCAR this week?
We're going to be on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course for this one. And you know that whenever there's a road course race, I just have to pick Chase Elliott for this one. He does fantastically on road courses, and this one's going to be no different. I'm picking Chase Elliott to win the first ever Cup Series race on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course.
There you go. Just a quick pro wrestling update for everybody.
I this was on pro wrestling, so I'm just going to mute myself.
So there you go. You had Christian Cage winning the TNA World title this week. So congratulations to Christian Cage for doing that. We had some more hype going into SummerSlam between Roman Reigns and John Cena as well. So we're going to be looking forward to SummerSlam coming up next weekend. So a little bit going on there with pro wrestling. So Shane, as we round out the show this week, anything you think we missed, didn't discuss, or anything like that?
No, I think we covered everything. And next week, I think it'll be an awesome show in that way, too, because with another preseason coming in of football, we get a better idea. And again, too, is with this baseball MLB and where people are ranked right now, there's a lot of games leading up to next weekend. So I think we'll get a better idea of where everyone's placed and where we're going into wild card positions as well, too. So looking forward to it, boys.
Looking forward to it. And Shane, one last time, how can people find you on your social media?
Yeah, you can reach me at mentaledgeperformance.ca or mental_edge_performance. Love to hear from everybody, and we will talk again, gentlemen.
Absolutely. Have a great weekend,
And
everybody.
I've got an article coming. I've got a 3-part series of articles coming up for you on the causes, effects, and legacy of the 2004-2005 NHL lockout. I'm working on those right now, so
Awesome.
they should be out in time for the upcoming NHL season.
Awesome. We will look forward to that, Mike. Absolutely. We want to wish everybody a great rest of your weekend, and we will see you back here again on the Sports Skillet Radio Show. Again, just do a search for Sports Skillet. We pop up. We're all over social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and head over to sportsskilletradio.com for Mike's articles, all the latest show news, sports update. And we will see you right back here again next week.
Number 2, with the bases loaded and 1 out. Fouls it down deep to right field. Way up there and way out. Second and walk-off home run. Grand slam race homer.
Stays right where Allen wants to go. Wants the baseline. Fade away. Yeah. He's way too good. He steps around Lou and drilled it. And the Sixers have scored 9.